Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel where we cover everything from fashion, cosplay to 3D printing because I have lots of hobbies. Anyways, today's video is all about Jeff the LandShark from Marvel Rivals. We got a file off of Thingiverse. I will link that in the description below. And we did a basic 3D print. So it's just PLA filament. In this video, I will take you step by step on how I painted the shark figure. If you like the results, this is a good video to follow along with because I will try to do step by step. And just for reference and something to keep in mind is I'm using really weird paint because it's clearance paint and it's all I have. So it's like this FX foam paint, and I think it does a really good job of sticking to PLA and also filling in the cracks a little bit if you didn't do a very good job sanding like I did. So that's an option. This is not normal acrylic paint though, I guess is what I'm trying to say, and I will link that down below too. Also, this video does not contain the printing process, it's just the painting process, but if you have questions on that, feel free to ask those questions below. All right, let's get started.
Starting things off with a white base coat, this will go over the entire piece. Snoot. And this is my paint mixing process. Since I didn't take this from my bottle, I figured I would show you guys in case you wanted to make this exact color for yourselves. This took me a minute to get it perfect and multiple glances at my reference photo to get it just right, because as you can see, I actually messed it up the first time. But just keep mixing until you're happy, and honestly don't take this too seriously because this is just the base color and you're going to add a lot on top of this. So my first color was a little green, and maybe you like this look. I personally didn't, and I tried to make it a little bit more blue, and as you can see, I spilt it everywhere. However, its waste was not in vain because it ended up being just right. This is my technique for mapping out specific lines like this, where I need them to be pretty accurate to a reference. I'm just matching the highest points and the lowest points, so then I can connect them together and have an accurate line. And after I get things mapped out, I go ahead and fill it in. Now I'm just continuing to map out the rest of his body using the same technique. One perk of breaking off his collar is actually I'm able to paint under there without any restrictions. Not that I really recommend it, but it works out. And when I'm finally happy with those lines, I go ahead and fill it in. It's starting to look good, but we're not near done yet. This step is probably better saved for last, but I was too excited to make his toe beans. Here I am just using puffy paint and putting on the design on each foot. Make sure you give this plenty of time to dry because it does take a bit. Using a hair blow dryer on any of these steps can speed up the process. Next, I'm using a glitter glue that has pretty blue sparkles in it. And I'm just putting this all over wherever the blue is. This step isn't really necessary, but I love adding glitter to things, so this was right on brand for me. Now it's time to add in all of his little markings. I am using this color of FX paint. This stuff is really old and really clumpy, as you can see, so hopefully yours is in better shape than mine. Starting at his top fin, or dorsal fin, whatever that thing is called, I am just using my reference photos and just copying the marks. My paint is actually so old, it kind of acted like a puffy paint, and maybe that could be an option to explore, because I kind of liked the raised texture. Our next technique is called dry brushing. This is where you take a dry brush, put some paint on there, and then actually wipe most of it off. Doing this will allow you to put some light coloring wherever you want. You can do this from dark to light paint or light to dark paint. This is usually done to add details to your piece or make raised details stand out, but I'm using it just to add some different colors. Back to his little dark blue details. I'm starting back on his tail fins, and whatever I do to one side, I also do to the other. Moving on to his back details. To get the look right, I did 2 lines and they were kind of off from each other, not like exact. And then I just connected them in the middle. You'll see what I mean in a sec. And then I just continued this up his back, progressively making them larger. Also, don't be afraid to add marks and spots along the way. You can also vary this look by blending the paint out more in some spots and less in others for a more textured look. Now that we have finally made it through the back markings, now it's time for the more finer details. I love these paint pens I got off of Amazon, and there's so many different tips to pick from. I just start making marks that match up with my reference and that I feel fit the piece. Now that I'm finally happy with my marks, I move on to the eyeballs. For this, I'm just starting with a completely black base. While that dries, I'm gonna move on to the collar. To make this color, I just use a little bit of red and a whole lot of white to get this pinkish tone. Then I just fill in the entire collar minus the buckle. During the sanding process, I may have broken the bottom of his collar. If you're wondering where that is, it's right here. And don't forget to paint that too if you do the same thing. Now that that is painted and the buckle is gold, it's time to glue our broken pieces together. Skip this if this doesn't apply to you. Make sure you glue it in the middle for extra added stability. And now time for his collar design. I just took some white paint and a little bit of the pink that I already had to make this color. For this, I just did a kind of Z-shaped design, but do what you feel best. There's probably so many ways you can do this. Once I got the shape down, I just did that in even intervals around the entire collar. His eyes should be dry by this point, so we're gonna go ahead and add those cute little highlights. I'm not sure what I was thinking with this nose highlight. I thought a cute little side highlight was gonna be such a moment, but it just wasn't. Luckily on this paint, I could just kind of rub it off and restart. I ended up opting for just a basic middle highlight, and I thought he was so cute along with his little spots. You may be thinking it looks pretty good, we must be done, but alas, there are more details to add. Starting with his name tag, I'm going in with a metallic rub, but you can use dry brushing or hand painting it, whatever you want. I'm just bringing out the Jeff on his name tag. Next, I'm going in with some chalk powder and a small brush just to bring a shadow to his mouth. I really don't like using a harsh line, and I opt for the more softer chalk effect. Next, I'm going to go over his entire body with that same chalk. The only difference is when I'm doing his blue, I'm using a dark blue to match. I think doing this ties a piece totally together and it looks so good. When doing these shadows, just do places that make sense. Arm creases, leg creases, under the collar are all really good places to start. And this, my friends, is how you take a rough print like this and turn it into something like this. We are all done, and I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and this helped you in your painting journey. As always, if you have questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.